Yeah, you go in and cook them up a little bit. Oh. Oh, oh, oh. Chicken wings. Collard greens and everything. Got that. Oh. Boom, boom, boom. Let's see. Twitter. Welcome, welcome. Come on in. Let's get this party started. You guys know how we kick these things off. Your boy got to get into this Twitter game. Go ahead and tweet this bad boy out so we can get some more footballogists in here. Make sure you guys are sharing it as well if you can. That'd be great. Let's get as many people in here as we possibly can. Hashtag. Let's use some hashtags going. Obviously football. NFL. Yep. NFL. Yep. Hashtag NFL. Twitter. Yep. Hashtag fan. Oh shit. Fantasy football. Hashtag fantasy football. Okay, that's not gonna work. NFL votes, boycott, power rankings, draft news. We do power rankings. Why not? Tweet that out. Tweet that beast out. And then one more thing, and then we're gonna get this party cracking. Gotta have something for the gram. Do it for the gram. Hold on, what? That's why people are going Dion Lewis. For some reason, I didn't know that. Don't know why. Kind of mad at myself for that. Oh shit. Hashtag fantasy. Oh, fancy football race. I like that. I like that. Hmm. Boom. Okay. All right. We live. All right. No more cell phone. Well, I'm gonna be looking at my phone. Talk to you guys about the chat, about what's going down. Uh, so, boom. Actually, one more. Sorry. Last one. I actually might need to go get my phone charger because, yeah, do it for the gram. I crack myself up sometimes. And hit it with that. Hit it with that. I just realized my screen's messed up. All right, enough. All right, enough of the phone. Enough of the phone. Let's get into this week 3. I'm excited for this week 3 matchup. There's a lot of good games on our schedule, especially now that we know what teams are. Excuse me, chair was all messed up. But now that we know what teams are, or at least got some kind of understanding of where teams are going and the direction the teams are going, I think the only team right now that we can make a case for that doesn't have an identity is the Houston Texans. They still look a lot of lost in a lot of things that they're doing right now. which is really comical. It's borderline kind of funny because Bill O'Brien being an offensive minded head coach and the guy that we all assumed that had a really a stranglehold on everything, a guy that had an idea of what he wanted from this roster, what he wanted from this team, and he still doesn't have an identity, and it's crazy. But to kick off our week 3, we have the Miami Dolphins at the Jacksonville Jaguars, which I'm expecting to be a quality game. Honestly, I know on paper it doesn't look too exciting for a lot of people. I got some skin in the game with the Jaguars players, and especially Minshew. I started Minshew last week in fantasy football at the last second over a lot of quarterbacks, and it really worked out for me because if I would have went Wentz, I probably would have lost this week. But so I got some skin in the game and for Thursday night. But realistically, the reason why I feel like this is a good game, once again, it gives us the idea to see where Miami is going to go. You're playing I'm not gonna say a lesser opponent, but you're playing a really balanced opponent this week. An opponent that has its flaws, a lot of flaws at that, that you could probably exploit. So we're gonna see if Miami got some decent coaching. They get themselves a chance to win this ball game because it was crazy. On Sunday, they gave Buffalo a run for their money. They pit Buffalo on ice almost like they damn near won that game against Buffalo, who is a pretty solid roster right now. Buffalo's assembling a really good team, and that's been known for like the last 2 to 3 years that Buffalo's had a really good team. It was just they couldn't really get it clicking offensively. So what we're seeing now is Buffalo really starting to come to become a good team. So last Sunday or on Sunday, we see Miami really pit Buffalo in its place and give Buffalo run for their money. So now we're going to see if Miami can do it with an opponent that's pretty much on their level or really equal to their level. I think Jacksonville has a better defensive place, a lot better defense in place than Miami does. But so I think from just that point alone, we're going to see a quality competitive game. And that's what I'm more excited for than anything. I like watching competitive games, and I think tomorrow night's going to be a competitive game. Once again, definitely got skin in the game with Minshew. I'm also going Laviska Shenault at the receiver position, and I might go Gasecki tight end for the Dolphins. I'm not sure yet. That's a lot of players in one night in one game, and I like to have a player maybe two going on Thursday night, but having three or more, woo, you asking for some trouble there because you better hope they put up a fat stat line. But I'm expecting at least that week, that first game or tomorrow night's game, Jaguars in Miami. I'm expecting the Jags to take that one for sure. I think Minshew is really putting himself into conversation of being a consistent starting NFL quarterback. And a lot of people, obviously, especially on Twitter, a lot of people were saying that they're expecting Minshew to be what's the word I'm looking? Sorry, they're expecting Jaguars to be a team that was tanking for Trevor Lawrence, which I'm not seeing. Like this team is competitive, this team is competing, and I don't know what they're feeding these dudes, but they're winning. They're playing to win, and I love that. I love the fact that all the outside media is saying that they're gonna tank for Trevor or whatever the case may be. Justin Fields, whoever the quarterback decides, they decide to go get Trey Lance even. They're saying no, we're not doing that, and I really think it's a testament to who Gardner Minshew is, honestly, for them to be rallying around him and saying, hey, this is our quarterback. We have a quarterback. We need, you know, other players, but we have a quarterback. And so this team is just rallying and making plays. So, I mean, they definitely have their flaws, and hopefully Miami has the opportunity to exploit them, but I'm expecting Jags to at least take the dub. Another game, talking about the Houston Texans, we got going into Sunday. You look at the Houston Texans versus the Pittsburgh Steelers. This is look like it's going to be a walk in the park for the Steelers. But I don't know what happened with the Steelers against the Broncos on Sunday. I mean, obviously they didn't wind up winning handily, but the one thing that kind of threw me off about that game was they didn't win handily right away. It kind of took them some time, and then late game the score looked bigger than what it was. But for the most part, and for the longest time, the game was really an extremely competitive. The game was really and extremely competitive for a really long time, and Denver came back and made it a game. And so if you're the Steelers, that's kind of not borderline embarrassing, but it's kind of questionable, especially when you had knocked out their starting quarterback and really had a lot of their key players out and hurt right now. And so you would think that Pittsburgh would have had a chance to win that handily, but they didn't. They looked like they struggled a little bit, and they just couldn't get things going. And I think Big Ben is still trying to find his groove. Speaking of teams that are trying to find an identity, I think Big Ben is still trying to find his groove and what he's comfortable doing from a physical standpoint, or physically what he's capable of doing. I think if you give him about to week 8, week 7, I think that's when we're going to start to see, like, if you will, old school Ben. But I mean, until then, I think we're going to see some flawed plays here and there. But I'm expecting them to have a good stat line in this game. It is the Houston Texans, and the Houston Texans defense is still looking really shaky, especially at the linebacker position, which is kind of heartbreaking because they got two linebackers that I really like. But I think what's killing them the most is J.J. Watt is not J.J. Watt anymore. Like he's not the dominant Texans pass rusher that we've known. The guy that was defensive player of the year, the guy that was consistently wrecking game plans. He still shows flashes of that. And he still has signs of that. But I think that the fact that not having Jadeveon Clowney is making his job a lot harder. Now, don't get me wrong, Willie Merciless is a pretty decent pass rusher, and I forget who their other pass rusher is, but they don't have another dominant pass rusher, and I think a lot of teams are getting to that point where you got to have at least two dominant pass rushers, two guys that can really balance out the team or balance out the D line. And I don't think Houston has that, and that's what's really hurting them from a pass rushing standpoint. So it's hard for them to get up the field. They have to do a lot of manufacturer pass rush, and we talked about that. Teams that are having to consistently manufacture a pass rush with blitz and sending extra guys and really doing extra things to get after the quarterback without sending just a basic four. Maybe get away with five, but they're sending like six. They're doing a lot of extra stuff just to try to get the quarterback down on the ground. And I think that's what's hurting Houston from a defensive standpoint. Their secondary is pretty shaky too. I like their safeties, but their corners are pretty sus at this point. And it's crazy because they got some quality corners. Like on paper, they got corners that I felt like were good corners. So once again, they might just be trying to find their identity defensively, just like they're trying to find their identity. I think they have a new defense coordinator as well. So they're just trying to find their identity. And when you have a team that's trying to find their identity, it's hard to win ball games. And you can see that these first 2 weeks with Houston is that they struggled against the Chiefs, they struggled against Baltimore last week. They're really struggling to to win ball games. And I think they're gonna take another L right here. But hopefully in week 4 they have an opportunity to really bounce back and show signs that they can be a quality team. But I just the Pittsburgh Steelers got too much talent on offense and on defense that is not going to bode well for the Houston Texans. And I don't see the Texans really coming out with the dub right here. It's kind of sucky, but that's just how I feel. One thing I did want to talk about real quick. Let me see if I can bring it up. I forgot to. I don't know why I spaced that. My cap lock is on. Week 2 NFL. I don't know why I said, oh, it said spread. There it is. That's what I want to see. So we're talking about week 2 and all the things that happened in that game. That was some stuff in the first couple of games, but I really want to dive into this week 2 and some of the games that we had in week 2, honestly, because we had a lot of close finishes. I mean, starting off on Thursday night with the Bengals and the Browns, that was a close finish. That finished at 5 points, and Joe Burrow once again was trying to put together something. It was a little bit too little, too late, but it was one of those things that they had an opportunity to come back and win that game. It was insane. They had a really good chance to win that game, and I think it was just a defense that I'm not going to say they're trying to find an identity. I think they're really lacking playmakers on the Cincinnati defense, and so that's something that's going to end up hurting them, and it is plaguing them right now. That they just don't have enough playmakers defensively, but that was just one of very like of many games that we had come to really close finishes. The Rams definitely handled the Eagles. We seen that. That was easy. The Bears and the Giants. That game, that was one of those games that I felt like, and unfortunately Saquon went down, and everybody knows that. But that was one of those games I really felt like that the Bears probably could have handled that game easily. Like that was one of those games that the Bears were the more complete, more consistent, more ready team with the coaching in place, with the chemistry in place, that they should have had an opportunity to go out there and win. I mean, they won by 4, but Daniel Jones had a chance to win it in the final seconds. Now they said they made it a good emphasis or made a good point during the telecast. It was that they messed up. They didn't do the right thing. I think they got down and they had like 8 seconds or something like that. And he did like a little dump off for like an extra 5 yards, but ran off 5 seconds. And they only had 3 seconds to take a shot at the end zone, and that really hurt them right there. That the broadcaster made a good point, and I forget who the broadcaster is, but they made a good point though. Is like you had 8 seconds to 8 or 7 seconds, something like that on the clock. You take your 2 shots. You had 2 shots at the end zone. You had 2 shots to really kind of get the ball to your team. And hold on, my stream behind. Hold on. Oh, okay, it's just behind. Hold on, let me restart that. Okay. But yeah, you had like it was 7 or 8 seconds left on the clock, and the Giants had a chance to possibly win the game, and it's just that was just the coaching error right there. I feel like, or maybe Daniel Jones felt like he can get a little quick play on the outside and they get another quick play, or at least get closer to the end zone and make a better chance or a more high percentage shot at the end zone. I don't know, but that was definitely a botched Giants win, or Giants like a Giants definitely could have won that. But at the end of the day, I feel like the Bears should have at least handled that game a lot better than what they did. They didn't, and that's going to be very questionable because hey, we don't need late Trubisky anymore. And I think that's what he is. I think he's just a guy that late game he just turns it on. I don't know what happens in the first and second quarter. And he just turns it on in the fourth quarter with 10 minutes to go. All of a sudden he's just a whole nother different quarterback. I think he's a guy that has to learn how to be consistent. He has to be consistent across all the across the whole entire game. That did not want to come out. So he's a guy that has to be consistent across the whole game. If he can do that, then he actually has opportunity to be a better quarterback. But it is what it is. The Rams and Eagles, there's not much to say there. The Rams did what they. This is what you expect when the Rams and Eagles game. That's what you expect from a team like the Rams. They're an established team that has an established chemistry, has an established system, and a team that is going out there against a lesser team, they're just going to handle them. And I mean, they did. It's kind of crazy. I mean, we had some early turnovers in that game. I think by the Eagles. But it's just the Rams are a more complete team right now. If we're comparing them to the Eagles, they're a more complete team in certain areas, and they have a more better or suited identity of what they want to do. I think it's crazy because I feel like right now the Eagles are kind of toggling between, well, we want to pass with Wentz, our high dollar quarterback, or we really want to feature Miles Sanders and really get this future back roll going, and we run the ball. Excuse me. Excuse me, sorry. But we want to feature Miles Sanders, and so it's like they're back and forth on the identity of what they really want to be as a team. And I think it's all because they don't have the lack of playmakers on the outside, and that was something that Eagles fans were outraged about in the draft. Is that we had the most complete, like probably one of the most talented deep wide receiving core of players coming out in this year's draft, and you didn't really make an emphasis on getting your young quarterback some weapons or shit. At least bolstering his offensive line a little bit. Granted, I think they lost Dillard early in the season, but little things like that. Like, what did we do to really help Wentz out? And then on top of that, what did we do to help our defense out? Our defense is still shaky and sus at the best. So it's getting kind of shaky. And I like my last year's draft grade for the Eagles was really bad, and it was primarily because they didn't do anything to help their team. I don't know what the fuck the Eagles be doing. I really don't. I don't know what the Eagles do with their offseason. It just feels like they put on a blindfold and just walk through the offseason and just throw darts at a fucking transaction list and say, all right, let's make that move. It's crazy. The Eagles they're not ran correctly. We're gonna have to do a video on that. They're not put together well up front or up top rather. It's just I don't know. That's just how I feel when it comes to the Eagles. They don't do enough to really win ball games. They just kind of play football, if that makes sense at all. But that's the score that you expect. 37-19 Eagles and Rams. The Rams taking it. That's the score you expect from that kind of game. Is the Eagles are a little lesser team, and the Rams went out there and took care of business and handled them. Now, one of many, one of many games. The Dallas versus the Falcons, or the Cowboys versus Falcons. I don't know why I said Dallas versus Falcons, but Cowboys versus the Falcons. Now that game, whoo-wee. I had some skin in that game with Zeke Elliott at running back position, and he had some early fumble. He had a fumble. I think the tight end had a fumble. Um, I want to say Dak had a fumble or something. Like there was like three turnovers in the beginning of the game. Like they gave the ball away. They were just needed some cough syrup because they were coughing that ball up like crazy in the beginning part of that game, and it was just like god damn. Like that was bad. It was really bad, and I was like, well, now we know what Dallas is, and like you kind of just get the idea of what the Dallas Cowboys are going to be at that point. But these are games that I think last year Dallas team lays down and take the L. They say, okay, we'll come back next week and try harder. We'll try harder next time. But they kept fighting in this game. Like they really kept fighting, and that's I don't know if it's because Dak is trying to get that money, and like it's a different Dak because if Dak's not trying to get money, does he fight like this? Because they fought back in this game. Damn, they fought back in this game. They at least give themselves a slight chance to win at the end, a chance that really they didn't even have a chance to win. Still, I mean, 30 was it 30 39 at that point. They got a couple of goal line sneaks with Dak, and all of a sudden it's 30-39. Dak hits in the end zone, and they wind up going. I want to say they went for two for some reason, but I'm not sure. I forget how that ended like that. They didn't go for two because I would have put them at 38, and they would have had. So it was like some weird number. I don't fucking know. I think they just kicked a PAT, and it was like 37-39. Anyways, the onside kick seen across the world happened. One of the best onside kicks I've seen in my fucking football history. When you see the onside, I mean, outside of the NFC Championship game, Green Bay versus Seattle, that man felt that because he had a chance to secure the win for the Packers. But anyways, but this is but that was a crazy onside kick. I mean, something unorthodox that we've never seen before. And I think not only did it throw the Seahawks or no Seahawks, not only did it throw the Falcons off, it threw off everybody else. Nobody else didn't know what to do with that. That's something that they probably consistently practice. Rank system. Okay, but that's something they probably consistently practice, and it worked out really well for them. I mean, obviously you don't want to live like that, but it worked out really well. It gave the ball back to the offense, and it's crazy because everyone's like, "Oh wow, Dallas pulled it out. Dallas pulled out the win." And I tell a lot of people it's not about what Dallas did do; it's about what Atlanta didn't do. Atlanta lost this game more than Dallas won this game. It was it was a good game, but Atlanta should have pulled out the dub. Now I don't know what this is. I don't know how to explain this because we know offensively what Atlanta is, but defensively, what is Atlanta? Like I don't know what Atlanta is defensively. I know they had some injuries in that game that really set them back a little bit, but I don't know what Atlanta is defensively. And then you have the Dallas Cowboys, who offensively, once again, we know what they are, and defensively they can be had, and they were getting had in this game from a defensive standpoint. Atlanta was having their way. Calvin really had a great day, and Matt Ryan had a great day. Like they were doing what they were supposed to. Julio, people were executing and making plays, hands down. But then it's like when it came time to close the door and slam the door, this was something Atlanta couldn't do in the Super Bowl, and it was something that they couldn't do in this game. It's not about Dallas winning in the game; it was about Atlanta losing it. And goddamn, it was a great finish. It was a quality, hell of a good finish. Moving on to the next game, I seen the other game that kind of intrigued me. Now we're talking about teams building chemistry and really trying to find their hone in on their niche or whatever, or trying to hone in on their identity. That's the word I'm looking for. We're talking about teams trying to hone in on their identity and what they're trying to be. And you look at the Carolina Panthers, they're doing that, and also the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are trying to find chemistry. So that's the biggest thing that's holding back the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, if you will. But that's the one thing that's holding them back is that they don't have chemistry. And so as the chemistry starts to develop, once again, it'd be like Big Ben in his situation. About week 7, week 8, that's when we're gonna start really seeing the Buccaneers really start to become the team that we're expecting them to be on paper. Is just this overall dominant team because defensively they're playing different defensively. Okay, like I guess when you have when you have a quarterback like Tom Brady slash Hall of Famer at at that position, you play different defensively, which I understand because you know that if you give him the ball back and you put yourself in a predicament or in a situation to win the ball game, and that's all you do is just give him a chance to win the ball game, he's gonna win it for you. So you play different, you think different, you act different, you carry yourself different, you have a different demeanor. And so I think by week 7, week 8, this team is going to be something vicious. The Buccaneers will be. Now the Panthers, with Matt Rule as head coach, they're just trying to find an identity. I don't think they know what they are defensively. I don't think they know what they are offensively. Christian McCaffrey. That's Christian McCaffrey, our featured guy. We pay Teddy. Now do we feature Teddy? Teddy's just nothing but a game manager at this point, and I'm not even hating on that. Like I'm a huge Teddy Bridgewater fan, but I think in Minnesota, somewhere between the start of his career and that knee injury, somewhere in there, he lost Teddy Bridgewater. Like he lost Teddy B. Like he's Teddy Bridgewater now. Like he lost something there, and I don't know if it's his swagger, his confidence, his attitude, his fear. Like I don't know if he's worried about messing up his leg again. I don't know what it is, but he's not the same quarterback he was. I think when he came out of Louisville in the early parts of his career, he's just not the same guy. Okay. That's weird. He's just not the same guy. He's just not a guy that's actually out there making plays and trying to make the extra play or do extra things. So it's kind of unfortunate to watch him not be that lively anymore. So I think that's something that Hopefully he can find along this path, and especially with Christian McCaffrey being out. Hopefully that's something he can find. But in this game, 31-17 tells a different story than what it really was. I think early, obviously, Tampa Bay jumped out to I think it was like 21-0 lead early. And then, Carolina kind of rallied back and was like 14-21. And then at that point, they just kind of went down the poop hole. And it was kind of unfortunate because it's like, damn it, I was hoping for a more competitive game at that point just because I want to see Tampa Bay sweat a little bit. Like, just because all the hype that's surrounding them, like that's kind of like an ego thing at that point. Like I just want to see I sweat, but they end up pulling it out and pulling it out handily. Honestly, I think Fournette found a groove within the offense, which is going to be even more dangerous for this roster. If Fournette can find a groove within the offense and Tom Brady finds his chemistry and groove within the offense, it's going to be hard for them to be beat because that defense, it's not talented on the back end. It's a solid defense on the back end for sure, but that front seven, you don't want that front seven playing with the confidence that they're playing with right now. It's very resemblant to the Niners defense last year, very resemblant, but I think their secondary is slightly more talented than the secondary. I think Tampa Bay secondary is slightly more talented than the Niners was last year, and that's going to be scary. If that front four or that front seven can start eating up people like they are right now, watch the F out. Like it's gonna be dangerous. The Niners and Jets game, that's just the Jets are dare I say rebuilding. Like I'm not the biggest Sam Darnold fan, and I feel sorry for him, but I'm not a fan of Sam Darnold, and it sucks because Adam Gase is a piece of shit coach. Plain and simple. There's no beating around the bush with that. He's just a POS, and that team has no identity. That team has no scheme. That team barely has any talent. It's just bad. It's just a bad team, and they make the Cleveland Browns look relevant. I don't know, the Browns have the talent on the paper, but god damn it, they can at least do something on the field. This Jets team is just bad, and so once again, 31-13. That's just what it was. I'm not gonna get into that game. We know what that is. The injuries in that game was more important than the game itself. That's not bad. Like it was like playing my players during a preseason game and they got hurt. Now I gotta fucking deal with the fucking not having my star players when games start to matter. When I gotta go see Russell Wilson now because I still gotta go see Russ. I still gotta go see Kyler Murray who's on fire right now. I still gotta see the Rams offense and I don't have one of my best defenders, if not my best defender out there for the rest of the season because I played him doing this goddamn weak ass preseason game against the Jets. Like that's how that's how I would feel. I would be pissed. I would be so mad. And then moving on to another game, 26-21. That was the game that I was talking about with the Steelers and the Broncos. That game should have been handled, I think, better by the Steelers, especially when Drew Lock got knocked out. Because once Drew Lock got knocked out, that was a game that I felt like it was over for the Broncos, and they still came back and made it a game. That's just that's interesting at that point. I still feel like the Steelers defense is good. Don't get me wrong. I feel like it's really good, but I feel like it can be had in some areas. I feel like if you get them on the ropes and force them into positions that they don't want to be in, they can be had. You can put up some numbers on them. And was it Jeff Driscoll? I think the backup quarterback was for the Broncos came in and put them on the ropes a little bit. Tenderized them, beating them up a little bit, and had the Steelers sweating. Like that's crazy. A backup quarterback came in and had you sweating a little bit. That's not something you want to see if you're the Steelers. So once again, I think they're just trying to find their groove. It's just that lack of preseason. You got to find your groove, find your identity, get slapped around a little bit. Really have these games to kind of push you into the little overdrive, if you will. I think the Steelers by week 7, week 8 are going to be one of those teams that we're like, okay, they're competitive. It's just this is all preseason for a lot of these good teams, and so what you're starting to see is these teams trying to find their groove and find a way to get into the ball games and give themselves an opportunity to win some of these ball games and just really pull it out. Use these games like what they are for test run games and just really pull them out and hopefully that give them the best chance to win some of these games. Moving on to the next game is the Jacksonville Jaguars Tennessee Titans. That game, ah, Minshew was on fire. And when he had a chance to put together the game-winning drive, I was like, here is time for him to solidify himself within the hype, if you will, to really solidify the hype that is Gardner Minshew, to give him an opportunity to really say, okay, I am a starting quarterback, regardless if it's not next year. I'm going to be a starting quarterback, regardless if it's with the Jaguars or another roster. I'm going to be a starting quarterback, and he throws a pick. It's like, God damn it! It's like we got guys like Russell Wilson and Kyler Murray, Drew Brees, and even Baker Mayfield. You can put in that category. Really taking these leaps for shorter quarterbacks, if you will, and then Gardner Minshew throws a short man's pick, and it's like, God damn it, Gardner, you set us back a little bit, and it was a short man interception on a game winning drive or potentially game winning drive, game tying worst case scenario, and he throws that pick, and it's like, God damn it, it was a little setback there, but it was really interesting to see that this Jaguars team was still willing to fight consistently, drive after drive after drive after drive, and I think it has a lot to do with Gardner Minshew, like I said earlier. I think this team is rallying around Gardner Minshew. Maybe Doug Marrone got them fired up too, but I think the outside media got them, tanking for Trevor, and it's like, bro, we're professionals and we're better than that, and they just pushed Tennessee, who was in the AFC Championship game last year, who is a team that is established and has the chemistry and has the like I said, established roster and everything. They have everything in place, so they shouldn't be pushed like that. You wouldn't assume that they would be pushed like that. You would think that they would have a better chance, or at least be a little bit more competitive within the game itself. But nah, they got pushed by this tanking Jaguars team, if you will. And it's like, nah, I guess they're not tanking anymore. Like they trying to win some ball games. And I would like to see Jacksonville in the playoffs. I would like to see Jacksonville make the playoffs. I'm not sure if they got the running game to make the playoffs. But they're making it work for what they got back there with James Robinson and those boys. So it's gonna be interesting. The Jaguars, I'm rooting for the Jags realistically. I'm rooting for them and just don't beat the Chiefs. That's it. Next game we got. Let's see what's another quality game we could talk about. The Lions and the Packers game that went the way it was supposed to. I think the game that was really interesting was probably the Washington versus the Cardinals. Now, Washington versus the Cardinals, the Washington football team versus the Cardinals. Uh, them playing that game. What made me more interested in that game is because I was like more or less to want to see what Kyler Murray was gonna do. His Week 1 performance was, hands down probably one of the best Week 1 performances for a quarterback. And then it was like, could he follow up against a Washington defense that was coming off of a blazing hot game? What they're gonna look like? And he went out there and balled out. He did exactly what he was supposed to as a quarterback from the quarterback position. Okay. Did exactly what he was supposed to do from the quarterback position and went out there and just killed the game. So I was really excited to see that for him. Definitely see him make that step. Once again, not a fan of running quarterbacks, but got to respect his tape, respect his game, and he's delivering some dots. Like it's not like he's all running, but he's delivering some quality balls. And I think having a guy like DeAndre Hopkins, it's kind of unfortunate because like Kyler Murray standing there like, hi, I got D Hop, and and Deshaun Watson's like, F you, like I hate you, I legitimately hate you. And but I was excited to see that. But more or less, if anything, I was wanting to see this Washington football team against a quality defense. Now, who they played the Eagles week 1, and the Eagles defense, oof, oof. We talked about them earlier. Uh, so I want to see the Arizona defense against the Washington offense more too. And yeah, that Washington offense is not where we wanted to be. But once again, just the team trying to find chemistry, get an identity. Who are we, what are we, and how we're going to perform and how we're going to execute. And that's just going to take time. Defensively, when you got 4 first round picks on your defense line, that's easy peasy, lemon squeezy. Like, just rush the passer, like, get after the quarterback, force some turnovers. And I think that's just what they're going to live through for right now. So defensively, we know what they are, but offensively, we got to start figuring out how we're going to execute. What do we want from Dwayne, and how we want him to execute and do do what he has to do within offense. See what else we got on the docket. This Texans and Ravens game, we got into that. That was just bad for business right there. Billy O looking really shaky right now, and I'm kind of feeling sorry for him. Then we got the Chiefs and Chargers game. Now that game, we gotta take a moment because your boy was on his seats, right on the edge. Um, I I don't know. Like Justin Herbert first and foremost. Thank you for the win. Okay, just let's clear the air right now. Thank you. Like, as a Chiefs fan, if you're watching this and you're a Chiefs fan, you need to say thank you to Justin Herbert, because if it wasn't for him, we lose this game. Realistically, um, that man made a rookie mistake that could have easily went the other way, and we would have been talking about the Chiefs being 1-1 going into week 3. And nobody's talking about it. I mean, because I think because for one, it's the Chiefs and the Super Bowl defending Chiefs, and so they're like, oh, okay, the Chiefs won. Woo! It was a good kick. You know, Harrison Buckner, 58 yards multiple times. Yeah, like that's cute. That legitimately, that's cute and all. That's cool and all. But can we talk about how our defense got gobbled up? And if it wasn't for Justin Herbert being a rookie quarterback and not understanding the down and distance, and I don't know what happened to his mindset and his mentee and his psyche on that play he threw that interception on, his one interception. But if he just runs for the first down and gets down, that drive on that intercepting drive that he had stays alive. That drive stays alive. They're going to keep going down the field. I don't know if they get a touchdown out of it or whatever the case may be. They're going to get points out of it because they're driving. And then our defense can stop them. And then I think at that point we'll probably be down by 2 possessions. Or I'm not even sure what the score was at that point. It doesn't matter. That interception put us back in that game, and it shouldn't have happened. And it was very, very, very unfortunate that it happened. And so excuse me. And so by it happening, we need to thank Justin Herbert. I know Pat Mahomes had to, do something with it. I mean, it don't mean nothing if you can't do nothing with it. That's my saying, and I agree. Like you get the interception, that's cute and all, but what you gonna do with it? Like you get the takeaway, what you gonna do with it? Granted, Pat Mahomes has to do something with it, but god damn it, if it wasn't for Justin Herbert throwing that interception, it would have been a bad game. Chiefs defense got to figure out something real quick, fast, and hurry, or Monday night is gonna look really fucking ugly. And I'm not talking about like a couple of years ago, was it like 2 years ago with the Rams versus Chiefs Monday night shootout brawler holla? Like, nah, it ain't gonna look like that. It's gonna be like something like 40 fucking 45 to like 21 or some shit because they will fucking eat us up and they will hold the ball. That's exactly what's gonna happen in that game. They're gonna eat us up and hold the ball, and it's gonna be ugly. It's gonna be so ugly, and I'm not ready for that. I'm really not ready for that at all. Uh, so I don't know. We came out with the dub. That's cool. But Justin Herbert definitely looked good. Josh Kelly looked good as well. Austin Eckler. So the Chargers are definitely going in the right direction. Hopefully Anthony Lynn. At this point, I'm kind of like hoping Anthony Lynn stays around long enough. You're here like swimwear. What up? Uh, but I'm hoping Anthony Lynn stays around long enough to see this through because I think things are finally starting to kind of turn in his favor. But he has to figure out something real quick, fast, in a hurry. And then everything came out today about Tyrod Taylor and the lung situation, which is very unfortunate, but it may be the best thing to happen for Anthony Lynn because he was one of my coaches that was on a hot seat this year. He really hasn't got this team playing hard, or not. Take that back. I said that wrong. He really hasn't got this team in positions to win ball games, and so they're playing hard for him, but they're not winning ball games like they're supposed to be, or winning the close games. And this is one of those right here. But he had a rookie quarterback, so he can hang his hat on that for right now. But I think hopefully Josh Kelly can keep running the ball like he is and keep looking as good as he is and keep the 1-2 punch with Austin Eckler. But Justin Herbert really starting to create his development. He got weapons. Herbert has weapons. The defense looks good. They have players in position that can make plays. They got playmakers across the board. I think two things that always hinder this team. I think lack of coaching or decent coaching, I guess you could say, and also injuries and health, like availability for some of their superstar players. That's been also a thing that's been hindering them a lot too. And so when you have those two things, it's kind of hard for you to win ball games. I'm just like I said, I'm hoping Anthony Lynn gets to see this through for at least another 2 years to see what he can do. Especially if Herbert's really the guy and he's starting to look like if he looks like he did Sunday and starts to develop even more and look even better. Hopefully Anthony Lynn can definitely see this through and give him an opportunity to win some ball games and hopefully get into the playoffs. And then our Sunday night game, Monday night game. Nah, we'll talk about that separately. But okay, so Sunday night game, for one, your boy has skin in the game, but he decided to bench Russell Wilson because I just knew the Patriots defense was going to take care of business. But goddamn it, that boy Russ is on a fucking goddamn tear, bro. He is not messing around. He is not. He threw an interception in this game, and it was no fault of his. Zero fault of his. Bounced off Greg Olson's hands, pick six the other way. That's not on him. But God, bro, dangerous Russ, like danger Russ, like he is on a tear right now. This man is not messing around. He is kicking ass and taking names. Like he is not messing around. And I'm a huge Russell Wilson fan already to begin with, but I think he's on a different kind of level this year. I think he's playing with a different kind of pace, a different kind of chip on his shoulder. when you've put together multiple seasons. Now, this is no knock on Patrick Mahomes or Lamar Jackson. I know he thinks about this, but it's no knock on those guys. But when you put together multiple seasons where you've had an opportunity to be in an MVP conversation consistently and not get votes, like he legitimately have not got votes. They were talking about it during the NBC, the Sunday night game. He's not gotten votes. It's like, okay, I'm gonna make you vote for me now. Like, and I think that's where he's at right now. His QBR is off the fucking Richter scale. His touchdown interceptions right now is off the fucking Richter scale. Like the man is not fucking around, and he can still run. Like we still have not seen him break off some quality runs yet. Like it's gonna be bad. I think this man is on a tear, and anything that stands in his way is gonna get some. And I don't think you want none of that, boss man. It's gonna be bad. I like what he's playing right now. I think he's playing with a different chip on his shoulder for sure. Random question: Do you think Locke's injury sets him back for solid sophomore return? It does, honestly. Um, the simple fact of it is when you think about, so we got what what's his name? I just had his name and lost. It just skipped my mind. Their head coach. So when you got their head coach there, he's a defensive minded guy. Why can't I think of his name now? Oh, this sucks. But anyways, when you got the head coach that they have in place right now, either A, he's going to have to be fired for this to work for Drew Lock, or B, it's going to be really bad for Drew Lock because now the game plan is going to switch to more what he wants. And a lot of defensive minded coaches, what they want to do is run the ball, control the clock, play good defense. And so what's going to happen now is that we don't have the big cannon Drew Lock out there. We got a backup in Jeff Driscoll. I think it's Jeff Driscoll. Correct me if I'm wrong. But we got a backup there. And so now I get to play control, run ball, hardcore defense, keep control passes and everything. When you got a guy like Drew Lock and John Elway in your ear, they want to push that ball down the field. They see what's happening in Kansas City and what happened with the Raiders on Monday night and how they're pushing the ball down the field. How a lot of teams in our division, and Justin Herbert comes out and start pushing the ball down the field. How the teams in our division are starting to push the ball down the field and create all these big splash plays. It's like, what the fuck? Why can't we do it? That's why we got Drew Lock. Drew Lock has a cannon. He has a big arm. We got out. We got Jerry Jeudy. We got Cortland Sutton. We got KJ Hamler. We got it was Isaiah McKenzie. We got Noah Fant. We got Alvaro. We got Philip Lindsay. We got Melvin Gordon. We got all these pieces on our defense on our offense. Why are we not pushing the ball down the field like the Chiefs, like the Raiders, like the Chargers? And so I think for Drew Lock to develop, he's going to need an offensive minded coach because the coach that they have in place is not going to be good for them. He's not going to be good for Drew Lock. And this injury does set him back because of the chemistry with Jerry Jeudy and all the weapons that I just mentioned. It's going to hurt him in the long term, in the long run. But I think, or I guess, sorry, it's going to hurt him in the short term. But in the long term, I think that everything is going to be fine, especially if they get an offensive minded coach in there. I wouldn't be surprised if the next offseason the head coach is fired. And no lack because if he can't coach, just because of what everybody wants to do. They want to follow the trend. The NFL is all about setting a trend and following the trend. And they want to follow the trend. So I want to push the ball down the field. There's an offensive coordinator in Kansas City by the name of Eric Bieniemy that might be available for coaching next year. I bring him in. I develop an offense like the Chiefs had with Patrick Mahomes. Now I got my young quarterback in Drew Lock doing the same thing. I want Drew Lock to be successful if I'm John Elway, and that's why I'm gonna be surprised if that happened, honestly. So this injury definitely is gonna set him back, and the coaching staff that he have in place is gonna set him back even further. It's gonna make him sore. It's gonna set him back just a little bit, but I think eventually everything is gonna end up being built around him like John Elway wants it, and eventually he's gonna be fine. He's gonna be fine. I think he's gonna be fine. I still think his talent level and the weapons that he has around him, he has no choice but to succeed. But the coaching staff is gonna have to change in order for him to take his game to the next level for sure, in my opinion, anyways. That's how I look at it. Oh, 1 second, I gotta get my charger. Ah, fuck my knee. All right, I'm back. Hopefully that answered the question. Hopefully, but yeah, I think Drew Lock. This injury is definitely gonna hurt him, just because of the chemistry thing that he's gonna, or lack thereof, that he's gonna have with his weapons. They didn't have that preseason. That preseason is gonna kill him, and even when he comes back, their time is still gonna be a little bit rough, in my opinion. Where was I at? So yeah, the Seattle Patriots game, another one of those close games, one possession game. Cam Newton definitely had a chance to win it at the end. Was right there on the goal line. Seattle just made a better play. Uh, Seattle defense is definitely still trying to find their groove. I think they're playing through Bobby Wagner, and then they're bringing they're bringing Jamal Adams. But I think that one thing that's killing Seattle right now, if anything, is that they don't have the pass rush that a lot of other teams have. Uh, Once again, one of those teams that have to manufacture their pass rush by sending 6+ guys at the quarterback to really get the ball out faster. So it kind of sucks from that perspective. And they're hoping that their secondary, which they do have a pretty adequate secondary, they're hoping that their secondary can really pick up the slack there. So it's going to be really interesting to see how Seattle moves forward defensively, because you can't live like that. I mean, the blitz is nice, don't get me wrong, but if you have to live by the blitz, you will die by the blitz. It's inevitable. Same thing for the Patriots. I think the Patriots don't have a genuine pass rush, which is crazy because they got Josh Uche, who they took in the draft, and I was like, oh, this man is going to eat for New England, and I don't think he's been active yet. But I think once they get him active and once they get him going, it's gonna be really interesting to see what he looks like. It might not be this year, it might be next year. Chase Winovich as well. I really haven't seen him come on either. So I'm really interested to see how Seattle, or not Seattle, how the Patriots are gonna move this pass rush along, because they're kind of hurt from that standpoint. They have to do a little bit of manufacturing of the pass rush, or the quarterback pressures. And so when you have to do that, it really sucks. But they got the secondary to do it though. They got some of the most athletic DBs in the game to really, I mean, from the safety position and the cornerback position, to allow them to do things like this. So it's kind of crazy, but that makes sense from Seattle standpoint to be able, or not Seattle, the Patriots standpoint to be able to do it. Seattle, on the other hand, they don't have the athleticism on the back end to really get away with it like the Patriots do. But offensively, the Patriots still trying to find their identity, still trying to find chemistry. What are we? Do we feature Cam? 1,000%, and I think that's what they've been doing these first 2 weeks. It's like 1,000% Cam, and sprinkling in some Rex Burkhead and some, unfortunately James White went in his game because of the situation in his life, but sprinkling in some of our run game, Sony Michelle and those guys. Or do we do 50-50? Do we go to a more balanced attack? How do we want to do this? And I think right now it's cool and it's cute to feature Cam 1,000%, but eventually he can't hold up. He's not gonna be able to hold up over the course of the season if you keep trying to do that with him. And then, last but not least, our Monday night game, our Monday night thriller and vanilla. No, I'm joking, but that game was not what I was expecting. I felt like the Raiders defensively was still going to they're trying to find their groove, find their chemistry, definitely find the identity and the momentum and how they really want to attack teams. Uh, but no, I was wrong. I was way off. They went out against the best roster, in my opinion, in the whole entire NFL. The best roster. Now, this will listen, not team, not anything, roster. I'm talking about they got 22 quality high end starters, and then they got another 8 to 9 guys behind those guys that can start for other teams, and they're backups. And so it's like one of the best rosters in the league, if not the best roster in the league. They went out against the best roster in the league and dominated consistently. It got off to a really shaky start for the Raiders. I think it was like 17-7 at one point, and I was like, that's the Saints doing the Saints. Like it was just one of those things. Like, all right, yeah, I'm not even mad about it. But then like the Raiders, I don't know, like they took some secret sauce juice or something like on the sideline. I don't know what they did, but right before they walked into the locker room, man, it was 17-17, just like that. And it was like it didn't take long. Derek Carr is playing like a man possessed right now. Like I was saying with excuse me, like I was saying with Russell Wilson, and how Russell Wilson has been consistently pitting up balls and really just pretty much on a revenge tour right now, just carving teams up and destroying everything in front of him. You can almost say the same thing about Derek Carr right now. Derek Carr is looking really nice, and I think the pressure that the GM Mike Mayock and John Gruden have put on him, and I don't know if they directly put this pressure on him behind closed doors because I don't know, like we don't know that, but the pressure that I would say they publicly put on him by going out and getting Henry Ruggs, saying yes, you will be pushing the ball down the field. Sorry if you don't like it. If you don't, there's the door. And so it's like, okay, I push the ball down the field. Like if I gotta push the ball down the field, I will. He has weapons, and they got this not Braylon Edwards, Brian Edwards receiver who's really interesting from a fantasy perspective. So if you need receiver help, I would definitely keep my eyes out for him. I'm really looking at him. I haven't done too much research on him. I'm gonna get deeper into my research and see who he is and about him. But I like his stature. I like his role within the offense. He kind of replaces that Terrell Williams, a guy that they were hoping to kind of be that number one big body threat. This Edwards guy comes in and replaces that. Hunter Renfrow becomes your slot. Henry Ruggs becoming your top guy. You got Zay Jones coming off the bench. You got Darren Waller working the middle. Like you got a lot of weapons within the middle of that defense or that middle of that offense that can do some damage. And then obviously Josh Jacobs in the offensive line leaning the fuck on everybody. Oh my god, them boys lean on people like nobody's business. So the Raiders right now are really scary in my opinion. I think the Raiders have shown us that they can be a competitive and a tough team to beat. And that's all it takes, really. That's it. Be tough and be competitive. That's all you really want at the end of the day. And if you can consistently keep doing that, who did they play week one? Now I can't think of who they played week one and how did they fare against them. They played the Panthers, which the Panthers are what they are. They still gave up 30 points, so that defense can still be getting had, if you will, at this point. Okay, your boy fast forward way too far. So their defense could still be had, is what we're seeing, if anything. But I think they're competitive and they're competing. They're taking their business. So it's gonna be really interesting. I think moving forward, what the Raiders are gonna be. If Derek Carr keeps playing the way he is, keeps pushing the ball down the field, keeps getting all his playmakers involved, and Josh Jacobs is an offensive line, whoo, leaning on people, lean on me. They're straight Morgan Freeman on people. It is bad. And so like if they keep doing that and they keep killing it like that, it's gonna be whew, it's gonna be hard for a lot of teams to beat them. Like that's all I'm saying. It's gonna be really hard for a lot of teams to beat them. So that was our week two review, if you will. And like I said, week two had everything that you would want. I was putting up their screen. So week two had everything that you would want from a competitive game. I think every game that showed up, outside of the Jets and Niners game, every game that was on the docket was more competitive than I expected them to be. But every game had a conclusion that didn't happen until what last 5 minutes, last 4 minutes maybe. And if you're the Cowboys, the last 3 minutes or the last 30 seconds rather. And so it's like when you had a lot of those games like that, it makes the NFL so beautiful. It makes football beautiful when you have consistent games that are not finishing until it's too late or until later in the game. Keeps you entertained the whole way through. I love it. That's why I love football so much. It doesn't matter what happened. The game is going to be competitive all the way through the end. No blowouts. Like I said, the Jets and Niners game, that was a wash. I didn't care about that. The Jets are going to laugh and stop. Jets number one overall at this point. That's how I look at it. Miami's probably going to be number two overall. It is what it is at this point. And Jags might be there, but no, Giants might be number three. So it's gonna be interesting though for real. Like I just let that week two definitely got me more excited for some more football. Like I was excited for week one for football. Week two definitely put me back in the seat, if you will, of like, oh my god, this is gonna be pumped up and exciting. Now week three, I don't know what to expect for week three. Week three is gonna be good. We talked about the Jags and Dolphins already. Talk about the Steelers and the Texans. The Eagles and the Bengals game. Now, two 0-2 teams. Now, I think the Bengals 0-2 are acceptable. It's acceptable. And I mean, no 0-2 is ever acceptable, but it's acceptable from the standpoint we have a rookie quarterback. We got a new coach that's still trying to really kind of put his foot on this team and really trying to put his identity on this team. And so, with those two things going hand in hand, we can't really justify what we're doing right now. We can't say, "Oh, we're doing this, we're doing this." Like, yeah, we're still trying to find our way. So that's fine. That's why that 0-2 is acceptable, but it's not acceptable. Uh, Now the Eagles 0-2, that's a different 0-2. Like, why are we 0-2? Like, just a few years ago we were competing in the Super Bowl and the playoffs, and it's not Wentz per se. Like, I know a lot of people want to put the onus on Wentz because of what Nick Foles was able to do with the roster, but this man doesn't have any weapon. Wentz is the new Luck, if you will. Doesn't have a roster around him. He doesn't have the offense line around him. He doesn't have the receivers around him, and it sucks because he's starting to suffer for it. And I think the thing is because he's getting paid so much money, that's how you justify like, hey, why are you not making plays? And I agree. Like a lot of quarterbacks are, and Dak Prescott should take notes to this, is that a lot of quarterbacks want to take all these money and like, oh look at me, I got a $1 billion contract. I'm so excited, and you can't stop me. It's like that's cute and all, but do you not realize what you're doing to the team around you and what the pressure you're putting on yourself? And then a lot of guys are like, put the pressure on me, I can handle it. But then a lot of guys are like, I want a left tackle and a right tackle and a receiver and a running back. Yeah, I'd rather have those things to give myself some chance to win some ball games. And I think right now Carson Wentz getting paid all the money that he's getting paid. It's kind of forcing him to do things that he don't want to do, or I'm not gonna say not want to do, but at least not comfortable doing. And it's really unfortunate for him because I think it's only gonna get worse from here. It's legitimately only gonna get worse from here, and he's gonna have to figure out a way to win ball games on his own, more or less than the Eagles putting together a roster that's gonna help him win ball games. They got no defense, they got nothing. It's gonna be bad, and they might be picking in the top five next year. Doug Peterson doesn't deserve to be fired, but wouldn't be surprised if he got fired. But, oh, excuse me. Oh, excuse me. Whew, need to get that out. But yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if Doug Peterson got fired. Just for the simple fact this team is bad. And it might not even be Doug. It might be Howie. Like, was it Howie Roseman? I think the GM is there. Like, just your transactions are ass, bro. You're not doing anything. You're not bringing in quality. There's receivers on teams right now that could be easily dealt for. Like right now, the Jags are going into games where D.D. Westbrook, who had some offseason injuries, but got him repaired. He's a healthy guy. He's healthy-ish. Where you can go and make a trade for him. I'm pretty sure the Jags are willing to relinquish him for a fourth and some change or whatever you got to come up with, but it won't cost you an arm and a leg. And you can go out and get a guy that's a decent receiver. You can go out and get a guy that's a decent receiver in D.D. Westbrook and give your quarterback somebody that can actually do something. And so yeah, you got to do something with these transactions. You got to put some pieces around your quarterback. It'd be offensive lineman, it'd be skill position, it'd be something. Give this man something and lean his hat on. And then we got the Giants versus the Niners. That one's gonna be. I want to say it's gonna be a wash, but I'm not sure. Hold on, hold on. Did I? Hold on. Hold on, just real quick. Oh my god, I did that. Okay. Um. So the home team's on the bottom, right? Home team's on the bottom. So wow, that's crazy. So the Niners going back to MetLife Stadium again to play another New York team. That's that's funny. That's really comical. But so yeah, you got the Niners and the Giants. I feel like that's gonna be a wash. The Niners are banged up right now, but I feel like they're still a decent team from a talent standpoint. Daniel Jones is definitely gonna have his day or have his make some throws or do what he's got to do, but I don't see it being one of those games that's gonna come down to the wire. Now this game, I wish Tom Brady was still New England for this game. The Raiders and the Patriots. Derek Carr is playing some good ball right now. And this is going to be the true test for him and see where he's at to really measure himself up against a decent defense. Like we seen he had the Panthers week one, and that was a wash at that point. That game was cheese. And then he had the Saints, which he took care of business against. So that's one game. Now you got another game to put on your belt to say, hey, I am for real. If he goes out here against this Patriots defense and does some work against Bill Belichick and them boys, woo, Derek Carr might be back to form. Okay, like Derek Carr might be back to that MVP form before he went down with the leg injury. Like that will be interesting. That's a good game in itself right there. We got the Tennessee Titans versus the no identity Vikings. Hold on, who did the Vikings play? They played the Colts. Oh, okay. And they had what like 3 or 4 turns. Oh my God, Kirk Cousins was giving the ball away in that game. So this is gonna be another game that could possibly be a wash, whereas Tennessee can come out with another dub, and Minnesota. I, oh my God, my phone just wants to start blowing up all of a sudden. Um, but this game could be another um, one of those games where now we're looking at Minnesota like, what the fuck is going on with you? You're supposed to be a playoff roster, and I think the salary cap. This is the first time I think ever in my history of really following the NFL that we see the salary cap really affect the team this way. It's going to hurt. It's hurting the Minnesota Vikings right now because they had to get rid of a lot of bodies to make room just to be able to be under the salary cap. But their offensive line is not playing up to par. Kirk Cousins is definitely not playing up to par, and I think they're really missing that number two receiver. You start to understand having a number two receiver or just number two anything really balances the field for everybody. I mean, Was it like I'm not saying Batman and Robin because everybody feels like the Robin gets pissed on, so we can say like Batman and Superman type deal, right? So like everyone's you got Batman or everyone's has their Superman, but they ain't got a Batman or vice versa. So I think Minnesota is missing, if you will, in this case, their Batman. Then they got Superman, they're missing Batman, and whatever the case. But especially from a receiver standpoint, they just got to figure out something offensively and defensively. Losing some quality skill players is definitely showing up, and especially their secondary. Their secondary is one of those things that I knew was going to be their Achilles heel this year, and it's showing up and showing out like crazy. So they definitely got to fix that. But overall, I think it's excuse me. I don't see it being a wash, but I see it definitely being a quality game. Then we got the Brownies versus the Skins. That's going to be a game. The Browns versus the Washington football team. That should be another good game. It's going to be a competitive game because it's two rosters that really have a lot in common, but I think Browns offense has a little bit more power to it than the Washington offense does. The Bills and Rams, that's going to be a juicy one. Two 2-0 teams. Like that's a noon game. Like I'm hyped about the other game, Monday night, but this game is going to be just as good. We got the LA Rams versus the Buffalo Bills, who are two quality teams going up against each other, and they could possibly really take care of business, honestly. Um, if I had to pick that game right now, like you said, Mike, here's $50. Pick $50, or I'll bet you $50. Who you got taking in this game? I'm taking the Bills. I think the Bills, the way Josh Allen is playing right now, I think it'll probably be too much for the Rams defense, and I think the Bills defense. Wait, oh, I can't stop yawning. I think the Bills defense will be too much for the Rams offense. I think at this game, I think the Bills probably come out of this game 3-0. And then we got the pissed off Falcons versus the Bears that can't really put a game away. So that's gonna be a good one. I think the Falcons definitely come out with their first dub there. The Chargers, I think the Chargers beat the Panthers, and the Panthers go 0-3. The Colts are gonna win their game. We got the Cowboys and the Seahawks. I don't know how that game's gonna go. That's gonna be another one of those competitive games in a late window too. That's gonna be a really good one. The Bucks versus the Broncos. I take the Bucks in that all day. That's easy. The Cardinals versus the Lions. The Cardinals are probably going to take that one. Now, the Saints, that Sunday night game, Saints versus Packers, that's going to be a juicy one. I'm excited for that. So, we got a good primetime game Sunday night, and then we got the Monday Nighter. Okay, so I just glanced over all that because I want to get to this Monday Nighter. This Monday Nighter is going to be heat. Even though, I'm be honest with you guys, as a Chiefs fan, I'm hyped for the game, but at the same time, I'm worried. Like as a Chiefs fan, I'm worried. But as your footballologist and your footballologist professor, if you will, I think that this game is one that if we're talking pure football and being straightforward and honest, I think this is a game that the Chiefs are going to lose, and it's no fault to theirs. It's just because of what scheme they're going up against. Now they're going up against a team that likes to play rough, tough, and hardcore football. Um, and I think on the defensive side of the ball, and I think that is something that we've shown that the Chiefs' offense can't handle that much. If they're sending blitzes and they're sending a good pass rush at us, it's going to be hard for Pat Mahomes to get his passes off. And like I've been telling people over the last couple of days is that it's not going to be good if they get a 10-point lead on us. And I mean that. If when I was watching the this past week when I was watching them play Baltimore play Houston, they were comfortable with running the ball with a 10-point lead. Like if it's 7 points or if it's 3 points or 4 points or something like that, they're gonna put the ball in the air or still be willing to put the ball in the air. But 10 points means you need to possess the ball twice in order for you to catch me. And I think that they're comfortable with getting that. If they're in a where you have to possess the ball twice situation, it's going to be all Lamar Jackson, Mark Ingram, Gus Edwards, and J.K. Dobbins. Like, hands down. We're not even going to know who their receivers are. Like, we're not even going to care who their receivers are because they're going to consistently put the ball on the ground. And the one thing the Chiefs defense can't do is run stop. That's been proven these first 2 weeks. That's been proven last year. It's been proven the year before that. We can't stop the run. Oh, that. So we can't stop the run. And by us not being able to stop the run and going against one of the best, if not the best rushing attack in football right now, it's going to not bode well for us. We're going to have to consistently score every time we touch the ball, and that's going to be pressure on Pat Mahomes if we can't stop the run. And so we got to be able to stop the run. We got to be able to get the ball back from Pat Mahomes, and we got to be able to at least keep it within a one possession margin at all times. or either take the lead. Now, if we take the lead, now it's game on. Now I think if the Chiefs get the lead, it's going to force Lamar Jackson into a very uncomfortable situation where he has to pass and put the ball in the air. We get our pass rushers teeing off on him. That's when we're going to put him in harm's way, and that's when he has opportunity to make mistakes. We got to put him in a position to make mistakes. Force him into making mistakes. If we don't force him to make mistakes, we're going to lose. And the only way we can do that is by getting a lead or keeping it within one possession at all times. If they get a two possession lead, we are fucking done. Plain and simple. Listen to me. I mean that. I will clip this and save it and send it and share it across the world. I mean that. If we don't stay on top of Lamar Jackson and the Ravens, we are done as a Chiefs organization. That's this is gonna be 2-1 Chiefs, 3-0 Ravens, and we'll see you in the playoffs. Like that's what it's gonna come down to. And this game has that much power to it too. When you think about it, it's only week 3, but this game could come down to the point, especially remember the new seeding. This game can come down to the point where this could be the 1 seed. This could be the winner of this game could get the 1 seed. That's how bad. Like that's how messed up this can come down to. Like let's say for instance, both of us go 14-2. We both lose 2 games, but this is one of our losses as a Chiefs. As the Chiefs. We're 2 seed and we're playing wild card weekend, where the Ravens are 1 seed and they're going. They get the first round bye. So it's like, God damn it. And so like we don't want to play wild card weekend. We need this win. So this game has that much weight to it is that the fact that it could be the 1 seed. This is for the 1 seed. That's how I look at it right now in the AFC. It is for the 1 seed in the AFC. Who wants it more? And that's how I would preach it if I was the coach. It's like this is the 1 seed. What do you want to do about it? Like if we lose, we're playing wild card weekend, just so you know that. And so it's going to be interesting to see what happens though. Like I think that's definitely a quality game, and I just seen the Sunday night primetime game. That's good, and we got a couple of games in the late window. Those are going to be really good too. So we got another quality week ahead of us. The way that I've seen football play out these first 2 weeks with the teams that are playing, the teams that are going to be playing in week 3, where they're at right now, should make for a quality season, a really good season, and I'm excited for that honestly, or a really good week 3, and overall, hopefully a good season too. So I'm excited for that. So doesn't nobody's in the chat, nobody's live right now, so that's cool though. That's all. We reviewed our week 2 games. We previewed our week 3 games, and that's all I really have for you guys in this video. If you guys had any fantasy questions or anything, definitely don't hesitate to hit me up on Twitter. Don't hesitate to hit me on Instagram. Hit me up on the comments of this video or any other video. Hit me up. Let me know what you want to. I'm always willing to talk football. That's what these live streams are for. I want you guys to stop through and just talk football with me. I'm excited for week 3. Like I said, there's some quality games on the docket. I got a lot of skin in the game tomorrow night. I got some skin in the game on the late windows games. So like your boy in the money league right now, my keeper league that I featured earlier on my channel. Your boy's 2-0 in that league, trying to get to 3-0. But another money league I'm in, 0-2, laughing stock of the game, laughing stock of the league, if you will. And somebody, because it's in my work league, so somebody at work today told me he was like, playing Mike is like being on a bye week, and I was like, oh, that's bad for business right there. So well, that's all I have for you guys this video and this live stream. I really hope you guys enjoy these live streams. Definitely make sure you hit the subscribe button. Subscribe today. Become a footballologist so you don't miss any of the videos I'm upload. I got some more content coming out. I got some cool content coming out. Definitely go check out some of the content I got on the channel right now. Some good stuff. It's literally good stuff. I'm not saying that just because of saying that because it's my stuff, but I feel like it's good content. Definitely check it out. Let me know what you guys think. And I don't know what you're waiting for. Like I said, go and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Become a footballologist.